Peter, a couple days left until the end of spring. Just what, over the last 6 weeks, what have you learned about this team, and where do you think you guys are with opening day right around the corner?
Feel really good about the team right now. I've learned that we have a lot of really good pitching, probably even more than I would have guessed coming into spring. Some guys making really positive impressions, and feel really excited about what we can do 1 through 5, even with some injuries, and some guys coming back from being hurt that we expect to be back fairly soon, and just feel really good about the depth of the team.
You talk about the injuries just with Braxton, Cabrera, Eury specifically, just where are they in their progressions or return, and how are you hoping to augment them early in the season?
Eury should start playing catch here this weekend, build him up from there. Braxton, I believe he has a live BP or tomorrow, and so he's feeling great. Everything's coming out really good. And Cabrera's a little bit behind Braxton, but is also feeling good, no pain. So optimistic about the timelines for them.
Sigh of relief with Eury considering what could have been.
For sure. I mean, anytime you get news from Dr. Meister that says no surgery, it's always a good day.
So the official diagnosis is elbow inflammation?
Mild inflammation, correct.
So what's the course of action? You mentioned he'll play catch, but just how's he doing?
Then kind of a build-up from there that most pitchers go through after a period of downtime. Catch leads into potentially multiple days of catch, leads into bullpen session, live BP games. It's all based on kind of how he feels.
And just with the 3 names we mentioned injured, was there consideration front office to try to bring in someone externally, at least, especially because early on in the season?
Yeah, there's always a consideration for that, but we have so many good arms in-house here that we really want to give them an opportunity if it's there.
Looking like at least 4 lefties in the rotation start the year, it's not common. Just your thoughts, just seeing just how that maybe could work, just the pros and cons of so many lefties in a rotation.
Really, it's just about having really good arms, right? If they're left-handed, right-handed, it doesn't make as much of a difference. Kind of cool that we're going to have 4 lefties in the rotation and perhaps 5 at some point. But ultimately, it's about each guy, his own game plan. They're all very different styles of pitchers, and if they do what they can do well, they can go through lineups of right-handed hitters, left-handed hitters, doesn't matter.
Overall, who caught your eye in spring that you're just really excited to see get going in regular season action?
There's a long list. Mm-hmm. I think it's hard not to start with Ryan Weathers and what he's been able to do in spring training, what he's been able to do really in terms of the quality of the breaking ball, the command. We all knew that he had velocity, right? But he's really shown a lot of growth as a pitcher. So very excited to see what that looks like in the regular season.
And then ping pong too with Weathers.
I have no comment. Suffice to say, on that day, the better guy won.
At the same time, with the maybe surprises, strength, economic pitching, is there an area that you'll probably monitor, like, hey, this might be thin, or something that we'll have to improve as we see the season develop?
Honestly, it's everywhere, right? That's always going to be the case. We can have what we think are really strong at any position, pitching position player, and we're always going to be monitoring, especially this time of year. There's guys who become free agents, guys who are going to be on waivers, guys who take their outs, all of that. There's just a lot of player movement this type of year, so it's on us to always be monitoring that.
With the injuries, obviously you may have to draw from depth, so are you still confident in the amount of depth in the organization, guys that you may have to draw from to come up here?
You can never have too much pitching. I think we're going to test that, but I do feel really good about the arms that we have, really even all the way down through the Jacksonville rotation, the Jacksonville bullpen. A lot of different types of pitchers in different points in their career, but guys that if they have to come up for a day, a week, a month, feel really good about.
From your experience in many years doing this, how are these final days? Having to make the decisions with the NRIs, with the guys that are out of options, and obviously those being tough decisions of having so many contributors to it.
You want these decisions to be as difficult as possible. The easy decisions usually mean something went wrong. The tough decisions mean that there are players that had really good springs. There's players that are making it very difficult on you, which in the moment makes it tough on the decision, but ultimately is a really good thing for the organization.
When it comes to innings with pitchers like Trevor, only 18 innings last year with the injuries, AJ Puck moving from reliever to starter and getting build of just a few guys, just how you're going to be monitoring innings for a few of these guys who are going to be getting into some uncharted territory or having to come back from not throwing much last year. Just how do you guys toe that line?
Yeah, it's really a case-by-case basis for each guy, but the general guiding principle is to monitor how they're feeling, what does the stuff look like, what is the velocity, what is the extension, how is it all coming out, and how is the pitcher feeling. And then it depends on where they are in their career, right? It's different for a 20-year-old in Eury Pérez than for someone like AJ Puk, who he's been a starter in his career. He hasn't been recently, but he's also older. He maybe knows his body a little better, and it's really a case-by-case thing.
And with Puck, what specifically stood out to you about how he's been this spring as he's adjusted going back into the starter role?
He's been incredibly impressive, showing that he's got 4 or 5 different weapons that he can get right-handed and left-handed hitters out. He's been able to maintain his stuff deeper into outings. We saw in his last start against, I think it was Houston, right? He got better as the game went on, and that's a really good sign for a starter.
What do you think the identity of the lineup can be, and what do you think it's capable of?
The lineup is going to be really deep, and I think that's an underrated component of a good offense. There's not really a 3 or 4 batter stretch where the pitcher is going to be able to take a deep breath. And I think that's something that I've seen in the past have an underrated effect over a long season. When you've got quality hitters hitting 6th, 7th, 8th, when your catcher's not necessarily an easy out, and when you can really roll 9 guys deep, there isn't an opportunity for the pitcher to rest. And I think it's a really important part of a lineup.
And with catcher Bethencourt, just how have you seen him, obviously, talk about him being able to just how he's been able to learn the pitching staff and sort of step into that role as quickly as he has in terms of the leadership role down there.
CB's leadership has been off the charts in a very positive way since day one. He's a lead by example, quiet kind of guy, but he's also spoken up. He's helped the pitchers understand what it is that we're trying to do as an organization. He's seen a lot of different things in this game, and I think that experience he's really called upon for a lot of our young pitchers doing different things in a different role than they've been in before. He's kind of a calming presence. We've seen him make mound visits in spring training where he's waved off the pitching coach and say, I got this. And sure enough, after the mound visit, somebody who was scattering the ball before is in the zone. It's those types of leadership things that he brings.
How much of that did you see when both were in Tampa together?
I saw him grow a lot as a leader too. And I think he's bounced between different roles, right? He's been an outfielder, he's been a pitcher. This was the first time that he's been a full-time catcher for multiple years. And so watching him develop as a leader with the Rays and then seeing that come here is pretty cool.
We've seen other organizations place players on the restricted list when they have issues with visas. Do you anticipate something similar happening with Brazoban over there?
I'm not sure yet. That's still to be determined.
Sixto. Surprising camp for you?
Sixto has been a very, very pleasant revelation. To see him get better every single time that he has thrown the ball, dating back to bullpen sessions in his first live BP, and to see him, you can watch and see him gain confidence, even from the first pitch of an outing to the last pitch of an outing. You can see that the old Sixto is still in there, and I think he's beginning to understand that he can really turn it loose, let the ball go, and it's not going to hurt his shoulder, and it's still going to be 97, 98. And to see that while he still has the slider and the changeup too, and the competitiveness and the command, there's a lot of positives.
Curious, we've seen you in the stands watching games. How do you go about spring? Do you provide feedback to the coaching staff, to other members of the front office? How have you kind of navigated that, especially as a newcomer?
I take credit for all the positive things and deflect blame for all the negative things. It's leadership. Really, it's just watching and learning, right? And seeing Sixto's competitiveness on the mound, right? It's different to hear it about it than it is to see yourself. Seeing how guys move, watching Tim Anderson move at shortstop and seeing that he looks healthy and looks confident. Just kind of understanding who they are on the field. You can only do that by watching the games.
Do you envision this team at some point having 3 catchers? It's happened before when you were in Tampa and you have 3 pretty experienced guys back there.
I don't know. It depends on a lot of different things. I think we're going to break camp with 2, but we never rule that out.